Hello all. I thought I'd take a break from my ongoing reviews of 1970s dystopian science fiction movies and go back to my reviews of Philip K. Dick novels. Um, One that I particularly like is, it's not a big novel, but it's an interesting novel, is Galactic Pot Healer from 1969. By what I mean by it's not a big novel, it doesn't have like the grand scope of, say, The Man in the High Castle or the intellectual depth of Valus or some of the other great works that I have previously reviewed, like The Penultimate Truth or Lies Incorporated. But it's still an interesting novel, and again, Philip K. Dick has a habit of doing. He takes an ordinary person and puts them in extraordinary circumstances. He was particularly good at that and used it as a technique of world building that works very well because we instantly sympathize with the main character because he's just like us. He's just in a strange circumstance. In this case, the central character's name is Joe Fernwright, and he's literally a pot healer. He can fix ceramic pots so they look brand new. Um, he lives in a repressive society where people are constantly monitored, and even their speech and their thoughts even are monitored by the government. He lives in, I think it's called the North American Communal Reserve, and he is kind of depressed because he's out of work because now people are buying plastic pots, so his talents are not really very much in demand anymore. The only thing that he does for entertainment is he plays word games with friends of his where he takes a common phrase in English and translates it into another language and mails it to them, and they're supposed to translate it and send it back. That's what he does for fun. So you can see he's very depressed all the time, and he's looking for meaning in life. He suddenly receives a summons to come to a planet called Plowman's Planet, or Sirius 5, in the Sirius star system, and by a mysterious entity known only as the Glimung, who is a highly involved, sort of godlike cephalopod intelligence. And the Glimung appears to him and offers him this opportunity to help raise a sunken cathedral called the Cathedral of Heldskala, which is on Plowman's Planet. And he's being opposed, the Glimung is being opposed by a group of sort of precognitive beings called the Kallens, who are writing a book about the future, which always turns out to be correct in its predictions. And somehow they're against him. And there's an interesting transposition. He goes to this planet where various depressed beings, not only humans but aliens as well, have been brought in to help the Glimung with this project. And he starts to fall in love with a girl, and he meets a kind of an interesting octopoid intelligence which doesn't have any name. And it turns out there's also a reverse of this situation. There's the Black Glimung and the Black Cathedral as well, which are sort of in opposition to the Glimung's purpose and are trying to sort of persuade Fernwright to work for them instead. Well, he declines that. He isn't tempted and doesn't give in to temptation. He's going to help the Glimung as best he can, although his efforts are rather feeble. And finally, he's offered to enter a gestalt of 5 minds, I think, which are going to include the Glimung, and the Glimung is going to finally be able to use them, all their talents, to help raise the Cathedral of Heldskala. Well, Joe Fernwright and the octopoid being decide they're not going to do it. They don't want to join the gestalt. So now he's left with some tools that the Glimung has given him, but he doesn't really have anything to do. He has several choices. He can go back to Earth. He can go to Molly's planet, which is the girl he was starting to fall in love with, but she decided to join the Gestalt, so she can't come with him. Or the Octopoid offers him, you can come to my planet, or he can just stay on Sirius 5. He decides he's going to stay, and the Octopoid says, well, you need something to do. Why don't you try and use the tools that the Glimung gave you to make pots instead of just healing them? And it's kind of a foreign concept to Fernwright, but of course, he knows everything about ceramic pots because that was his job. And he says the final line is that the first pot he made was awful. So what's Philip K. Dick trying to say with this book? Why did it end on such a downer? I think he's basically trying to say, the search for the meaning of life is pointless. You have to find meaning in what you do, and not internally, not externally. And if you go looking for it externally, you're just going to end up disappointed. Um, in getting that point across, I think Galactic Pot Healer is quite brilliant. Like I said, it's a small book. It's not one of his greater books, but I do recommend it.